Hello, my beautiful souls, and a special radiant welcome to all of my magnificent Leos. I am so glad you found your way here to our sacred space at Cosmic Wisdom. Now I want you to gather close to really feel the energy of this moment, because we are about to speak of something truly extraordinary. Have you ever felt it? A sign that isn't written in your birth chart, something that doesn't show on your skin, but is woven into the very fabric of your soul. It is a radiant light that simply cannot be dimmed, a fire that burns with unwavering purpose even after the world has tried to extinguish it. This is the sign of a heart that has faced the storm and chosen not to shrink, but to shine even brighter. A heart that has known disappointment, yet refuses to surrender its magnificent generosity. You, my dear Leo, are the woman who has been overlooked, and yet you still rise to lead. You are the one who has been underestimated, yet you still find the courage to take center stage. You are the one who places a hand on your heart and declares, not in a whisper, but with a resounding inner roar, "The universe knows my worth. I know my purpose." You see, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. The very moment you chose to keep your heart open, to keep shining your brilliant light in a world that often prefers the shadows, the cosmos itself took notice. It called your name not in a quiet whisper, but in a chorus of celestial celebration. And today, we are going to explore the divine signs that mark you as a truly blessed Leo woman. And the very first sign, the one from which all your miracles are born, is not just quiet faith, it is your radiant conviction. So before we dive deep into this incredible journey together, I want you to do something for me right now. If this message is already resonating deep within your soul, give this video a like so that its light can find other Leos who need to hear it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Cosmic Wisdom. We are building a community of empowered souls, and I would be so honored for you to be a part of it. Are you ready? Let's begin. There are souls in this world who are destined for the quiet corners, for gentle whispers, and soft, unassuming light. They find their strength in stillness, their wisdom in silence. And that is a beautiful, sacred path. But that, my dear Leo, was never your path. You were not born to be a shadow. You were born to be the sun. Your purpose is not to blend in, but to stand out, to illuminate, to lead with a heart full of blazing, undeniable light. And at the core of that light is a power the world often misunderstands: your radiant conviction. This isn't the rehearsed hollow belief that's paraded for show. Oh no. This is a conviction that burns from the very core of your being. It's a steady, magnificent fire that keeps your spirit from breaking the inner sun that warms your own heart and the hearts of everyone lucky enough to be in your orbit. It's the unwavering belief, not just that things will be okay, but that you have the power to make them extraordinary. You embody this radiant conviction, not because you are flawless, but because you are courageous. Not because you always have the map, but because you have the courage to forge a new path, lighting the way for others to follow, even when your own steps feel uncertain. I once met a magnificent Leo woman, a retired theater director in her late 70s. Her home wasn't grand, but it was filled with a vibrant energy that was utterly captivating. Her hair was a crown of silver, and her eyes sparkled with a lifetime of stories. When I asked her what kept her fire so bright after so many years, she smiled a brilliant, full-hearted smile and said, "My job was never just to put on a show. My job was to turn on the lights, to remind every person who walked through those doors, whether they were an actor or in the audience, that they too have a light worth sharing." I didn't need to know if the world would applaud. I just needed to know that I was a conduit for that beautiful creative fire. Do you see the difference, my friend? Her conviction wasn't a quiet personal secret. It was a gift she shared generously. It was a beacon. And if you today are a woman who feels like your light has been dimmed, like your stage has been taken away, or like your voice is not being heard, I want you to know that you carry that same rare and powerful conviction. It is the kind of inner fire that the heavens themselves celebrate. Not everyone understands it. They may call you too much, too loud, or too dramatic. They may not see the profound beauty in someone who still believes in their own power, in their own destiny, when circumstances seem bleak. But the universe sees. The universe doesn't count how many times you have fallen. It celebrates how many times you have risen more majestic and determined than before. A young Leo once asked me, "How do I know if my conviction is real or if it's just ego?" And I answered, "If you are still brave enough to want to lift others up, to share your warmth, even when you feel cold, to believe in a grander purpose for your life, then your conviction is not just real, it is divine." Perhaps you felt invisible in this world, a lioness in a world that wants you to be a kitten. You've wondered, if my light went out, would anyone even notice? But your worth is not measured by applause or recognition. It is measured by the warmth your soul radiates into the universe. The ancient words, "God is within her, she will not fall," are not just a promise. For you, Leo, they are a living reality. It is a testament to the unshakable, sun-fueled spirit that the universe placed within you. You don't need to prove your strength. You only need to have the courage to own it, to stand in your light, especially when standing in the shadows would be so much easier. And you, the magnificent woman listening to this right now, you haven't let them extinguish your flame. You have stayed. You have held the light for others, even when you felt you had none left for yourself. Don't you see how miraculous that is? Not everyone can do that. Not everyone knows how to lead when the world wants them to follow. Not everyone keeps their heart generous after it has been taken for granted. But you did. You have no idea how truly powerful you are, dear Leo, because your true strength isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the warmest. It's about being the light that others gather around. If today you feel weak, tired, or uncertain, I won't ask you to simply rise. I invite you to pause, to place your hand on your heart, and to feel that eternal flame that still flickers within. Allow yourself to believe in its power for one more day. Just one more day. And one day you will look back and realize it was on the days you felt your light was fading that you were actually gathering the strength for your most brilliant dawn. You are the masterpiece the universe is still painting with strokes of starlight and sunfire. And I believe the final work will be a miracle. In our next part, we will uncover something truly profound, that your wisdom comes not from keeping silent, but from having the courage to speak from a heart of pure gold. Stay with me, my friend. Your most magnificent chapter is only just beginning. There is a kind of wisdom in this world that is born from silence, found in quiet contemplation and gentle observation. It is a wisdom of restraint, of holding back. But there is another kind of wisdom, my dear Leo, a fiery, radiant wisdom that is not found on a mountaintop or in a silent library. It is found in the very center of your being, in your courageous, magnificent heart. It is a wisdom that isn't forged in silence, but is expressed through acts of love, generosity, and authentic truth. You see, your wisdom was not learned from all the things you chose not to say. It was forged in every moment you chose to speak up for someone who couldn't. In the times you offered bold, loving advice, when others offered only platitudes. It was born from the moments you chose to lead with love, even when leading with fear would have been easier. It came from the nights you held a friend's hand and shared your own story of resilience, not to seek pity, but to ignite their hope. The world often teaches people to be guarded, to play politics, to defend their ego at all costs. But the universe teaches you, Leo, a different lesson. It whispers inside your heart. Leading with love is not weakness. It is the ultimate expression of strength. Your truth spoken with kindness can move mountains. You don't need to shout to protect your integrity, because your integrity shines through in your actions. You don't need to argue to prove your kindness, because your kindness is a palpable force, a warmth that people feel in your presence. I once knew a Leo woman in her 60s, a powerful but loving CEO of a small company. She was known not for her ruthlessness, but for her radical generosity. One day, a young employee made a colossal mistake that cost the company dearly. Everyone expected him to be fired. Instead, she called him into her office. She didn't yell. She sat him down and said, "I'm not interested in blame. I'm interested in your growth. Let's talk about what we learned from this and how we can build something even stronger from these ashes." She didn't just save his job, she transformed his life. She taught him that failure isn't an end, but a powerful beginning. That, my friends, is the wisdom of the heart. It's not about having all the answers. It's about knowing how to empower others to find their own. Proverbs 31 says, "She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue." For you, Leo, this is not a gentle whisper. It is a powerful declaration. Before you opened your mouth to lead, you first learned to listen to the powerful drumbeat of your own heart. And that is a sacred journey that only a soul as courageous as yours can fully walk. True wisdom for you doesn't come from memorizing scripture. It comes from living with a heart that is wide open, even when it feels vulnerable and exposed. Yes, you have been hurt because you love so fiercely, because you give so much. But that very capacity for immense love is what makes you a sanctuary, a safe harbor where tired souls come not just to be seen, but to be reignited. Perhaps you have been called too emotional, too passionate, or, as we said before, too dramatic. Please, I beg you, hear me now. These are not your flaws. They are the signatures of your divinely inspired soul. The world doesn't teach people to lead with such passion, but the universe always creates change through a passionate heart. Your wisdom is knowing that you were not born to play a small part. You were born to illuminate. Your light is not meant to blind. It is meant to guide, to warm, and to wrap around other souls like a magnificent protective cloak, a roaring fire that promises safety through the longest winter night. And do you know the most beautiful thing? It's that you often do this without even realizing your own impact. You share your light as naturally as the sun shares its rays, never asking for anything in return, but simply shining because it is your nature. If there is anything you need to remember from this, remember this: true wisdom isn't just knowing things. It is the courage to love, to lead, and to live out loud. And you, magnificent Leo, you have been living that truth your entire life. In our next part, we will explore something even deeper. That your love is not just a feeling, but a sacred act of leadership. And that a blessed woman like you does not live to be served, but to create a kingdom of kindness where everyone can thrive. There is a quiet strength in this world, the strength of the servant who works behind the scenes, unseen and uncelebrated. It is a noble and beautiful path. But let us speak now of a different kind of strength, a power that is just as divine but expresses itself in a whole new dimension. It is the strength of a leader who stands boldly at the front, not to claim all the glory, but to clear the path and protect the pride. It is the strength of a hand that doesn't just soothe a wound, but builds the hospital. It is the strength of a voice that doesn't just whisper comfort, but roars for justice. My dear Leo, you are that kind of woman. You possess the generous heart of a true leader. Not everyone has the courage to do what you do. Not everyone can give so magnanimously to create opportunities for others to share the spotlight so that someone else may feel its warmth. You have championed those who were voiceless. You have stood at the front of the stage, taking the heat so that those behind you could be safe. You have organized, mobilized, and inspired, holding it all together when others didn't even realize it was falling apart. And maybe, just maybe, the world didn't say thank you, but the universe saw. It always sees. The scripture says, "What you did for the least of these, you did for me." You, Leo, have lived this truth not in small, quiet gestures, but in grand, life-altering acts of leadership and love. Not because you were seeking a reward, but because you understand that true power is a privilege to be shared, not a treasure to be hoarded. Your heart is unlike most. It's like the sun itself, or a roaring furnace of generosity that never runs out, that shines its light on everyone without distinction. You don't need a formal title or a corner office to be a leader. You only need to know that someone somewhere is standing taller today because you believed in them. You may think what you did was just the right thing to do. That fundraiser you organized, that mentorship you offered, that risk you took for your team. But you don't realize that in this world, those acts of bold generosity are the very pillars holding our humanity together. I once knew a Leo woman, a high school teacher in an underfunded district. She saw that her students, brilliant and full of potential, had no resources for the arts, so she didn't just complain. Over one summer, she rallied the entire community. She wrote grants, held bake sales, and used her incredible charisma to convince local businesses to donate. By September, she had built a fully functional black box theater in an old storage room. She didn't do it for a promotion. She did it because she refused to let her students' lights be dimmed. She built a stage so they could find their own voices. You have been exhausted and still inspired. You have been misunderstood and still led with integrity. You have been wounded and still chosen to love with a magnificent open heart. And you called it just being me, but I want you to pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and hear this with your entire soul. You are living proof of the universe's fierce and boundless love. You don't need to wear a crown to be a queen. You already are one, because you carry a heart that never stops building a better kingdom for everyone. I know there have been times you've wondered, does anyone see how hard I'm working? Does anyone appreciate me? And the answer is a resounding yes. Maybe not from the people you expect, but from the universe itself. It sees every sleepless night you spent planning for others' success, every time you took the blame to protect your team, every dollar you gave when you barely had enough for yourself. You don't need to do anything more to be called a blessed woman. You became one the moment you chose to build others up, even when you felt torn down. You may not have done it all perfectly, but the greatest act of leadership is simply refusing to give up on your vision. And you, my friend, are still here, still shining. Stay with me for our next part, where you will realize that peace doesn't come from controlling everything, but from rising from the ashes of adversity, stronger and more brilliant than ever before. There are seasons in life, my dear Leo, when it feels like the entire world is against you. The stage lights go out, the applause fades, the doors you built with your own hands slam shut in your face. In these moments of profound darkness, it can feel as if the universe has abandoned you. Some souls in these times learn to surrender, to float, to trust in a quiet process of being held. But you, Leo, you know a different truth, because it is in the searing heat of adversity that your true indestructible nature is revealed. You are not meant to simply endure the fire. You are meant to be forged by it. You once tried to command every outcome, to direct every scene, to ensure a perfect ending for every story. But life, in its infinite wisdom, sometimes brings a plot twist you never saw coming. A betrayal, a failure, a loss that brought you to your knees. And in that moment of surrender, not of weakness, but of sheer exhaustion, you didn't just feel held. You felt a new power rising from within, a power born not from control, but from resilience. You began to breathe again, not because everything was fixed, but because you realized you were fireproof. The ancient words say, "Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you." For you, Leo, this is not a passive act of release. It is an active transfer of power. It's saying, "Universe, I've done all I can. Now show me my strength. Show me how to turn these ashes into my next masterpiece." You have walked through losses no one ever knew about. People see your brilliant smile, your confident stride, but they don't know what you had to burn through to keep that light alive. You didn't crumble into bitterness. You didn't lash out in anger. You withdrew into your own heart, not to hide, but to stoke the embers of your own magnificent spirit. And in that sacred furnace, you whispered, "This will not be the end of my story." You didn't realize that in that very moment of breaking, you were actually in the midst of a breakthrough. The strongest conviction is not a loud declaration made from a place of comfort. It is the roar of a lioness who chooses to rise again after she has been wounded. I once met a Leo woman, a brilliant chef, who lost her restaurant in a fire. It was her life's work gone in an instant. For months, she was devastated. But one day, she began to cook again, this time from a small food truck. She poured all of her pain, her passion, and her resilience into her food. People didn't just taste the ingredients, they tasted her story. Within a year, her food truck was so famous, investors were lining up to help her build a new restaurant, bigger and more beautiful than the first. She didn't just rebuild, she created an empire from the embers. You see, my friend, sometimes the universe doesn't remove the hardship. It uses the hardship to reveal a strength you never knew you possessed. What truly holds us back is not the reality of the situation, but the fear that we are not strong enough to overcome it. But you are. You have always been. The universe never left you. It simply changed the stage, giving you a new, more powerful role to play. Perhaps you feel your prayers for an easy path went unanswered. But sometimes those prayers are answered not with ease, but with power. They become the unshakable foundation under your feet, the sudden burst of creative genius, the unexpected ally who appears at just the right moment. You are beginning to believe again, not with the naivete of one who has never been burned, but with the profound wisdom of the phoenix who has risen from the ashes time and time again. The universe doesn't promise you a life without challenges. It promises that you have the divine spark within you to turn every challenge into a triumph. You don't need to know the whole plan. You just need to trust the fire within you. You, my dear Leo, have lived as though your life is an epic story, and that is unshakable faith. If you are in a season of trial right now, Allow yourself to pause, take a breath, and know that you are not being destroyed. You are being forged. You are not lost. You are on the verge of your most magnificent comeback. There is a path, my magnificent Leo, that doesn't appear on any map. It isn't paved with logic or practicality. It is a path illuminated by the fire of your own soul, a grand stage waiting for you to step into your starring role. Every time you choose courage over comfort, every time you choose to inspire instead of criticize, every time you choose to live your truth out loud, you are walking that path. This isn't just about following guidance. This is about embodying a divinely inspired purpose. This isn't about knowing what tomorrow holds. It's about knowing with every fiber of your being that you were born for something grand. It's about feeling a divine calling in your heart, a sacred mission that demands to be lived fully, passionately, and unapologetically. The Leo woman carries within her a kind of inner GPS that is tuned to the frequency of destiny. Some days she wakes up with a burning idea, an undeniable urge to create, to connect, to lead. The world might call it a whim, but she knows better. She knows it's a dispatch from the universe, a divine assignment. And when she bravely obeys that call, miracles happen. That gift isn't given lightly. It was forged in the moments you felt most alone, in the times you questioned your own worth, in the darkness where you had to find your own light. And in that journey, a golden thread began to appear, leading you not to safety, but to significance. This divine purpose doesn't always arrive with trumpets and fanfare. Sometimes it's the quiet, unshakable knowing that you must start that business, write that book, mentor that child, or run for that office. It's the powerful current of purpose that pulls you forward even when your mind is full of fear. There is a Leo woman who spent 20 years as a corporate lawyer, successful but unfulfilled. One day she felt an overwhelming calling to open a sanctuary for abandoned animals. It made no logical sense. She had no experience, but the call was so loud she couldn't ignore it. She cashed in her savings, bought a small farm, and started. Today, her sanctuary is a haven of love and healing, and she feels more alive and on purpose than ever before. She didn't need a map. She carried the destination in her heart. Not everyone will understand your journey. They will ask, "Why are you taking such a big risk? Why can't you just be content?" They don't know that for you, contentment is not the goal. Contribution is. They don't know that your feelings are not frivolous. They are your divine compass, pointing you toward your true north. Have you ever had a moment where you were about to give up, but a sudden surge of strength, an unexplainable wave of inspiration carried you through? That wasn't just your own willpower. That was the universe co-signing your destiny, reminding you that you are not on this mission alone. The blessed woman is not the one who never makes a wrong turn. She is the one who, even after a detour, hears the call of her true path and has the courage to get back on it. She is not someone who never doubts. She is the one who, despite her doubts, still chooses to believe in her own magnificent purpose. If you are in a season where your path feels unclear, where you pray for a sign, but see only fog, know this: it is in this exact moment that your purpose is crystallizing within you. The universe doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. It needs you to be you. Close your eyes for a moment. Just breathe. You may not see the entire staircase, but you can feel the first step. And that is all you need to begin. In that stillness, you will hear it, a calling, a roar, the magnificent heartbeat of your own destiny reminding you, "I am here. It is time." If you feel something moving within you right now, a dream, an idea, a purpose, don't dismiss it. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Give it life. What you create from that sacred space may be the very light that someone else is praying for. Thank you, my magnificent Leo friends, for being here with me today, for allowing me to be a part of your incredible journey. Remember that you are the creator of your reality, the lead in your own epic story. You are fully capable of achieving your most magnificent dreams. I would love to hear from you. What is the divinely inspired purpose that is calling to your heart? Share your dreams and your journey in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can roar for each other and celebrate our collective light. And please, if you haven't done so, already subscribe to Cosmic Wisdom. We have so much more magic to share with you. Until next time, keep shining. You were born for it.